Good point. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there you go. You can see that slide. So, okay. So I'd like to welcome everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Sam. And thank you. Your brother is on the call. His name
Edward.
What is his name again?
Edward, I think.
Edward.
Edward. Hi, Edward. How are you?
Doing great. I'm doing great. And
Thank
yourself?
you for joining. Thank you for joining. Yes, good. Thank you for joining. All the better being in the company of illustrious individuals here. And your other brother is perhaps joining later, huh?
I hope so.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll make a start. Shall we make a start?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
Okay. So I was just going to say that I'll do a quick introduction about the characteristics of the soul, which is what Edward, you are particularly interested in. And after that, that'll take about 10 minutes or so. And then I was going to leave it for questions and answers. And we have the pleasure of Ananta Vijay Prabhu here as well, which is great because he has got a phenomenal amount of knowledge from many aspects, many cultures as well. So it's very helpful for him to be here as well. So first thing I wanted to explain was that the basis of knowledge that we rely on is called the Vedas. It's the Vedic knowledge. This is a traditional set of principles which have been laid down by actually the Supreme Lord himself in the form of Srila Vyasadeva. He is regarded as the literal incarnation of the Lord. And he wrote a significant amount of scriptures describing many aspects of this creation and the spiritual world as well. And one of those aspects is about the soul, who we are, the Atma. And recently, actually about 5,000 years ago, when I say recently, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he came down himself and he summarized this whole Vedic literature in a book called the Bhagavad Gita. And that book is something that we study a lot, a little bit like the Bible. It's a roadmap to how to live in this world. And in the Bhagavad Gita, in the second chapter, Krishna explains to Arjun. Arjun is his devotee. They're in the middle of a battlefield. You can see the armies are here, all ready to fight each other. And Arjun, the devotee of the Lord, is asking the Lord, who is become his chariot driver. This is the magnificence of the Lord. He serves his own devotees. He's become his chariot driver in this battle. And Arjun says to Krishna, please take this chariot into the middle of the battlefield. I want to see who is here to fight. And that leads to Arjun becoming a little bit perplexed because he sees on the battlefield his grandfather, who he loves very much, his guru, he sees his teachers, he sees his cousins. So he surrenders onto the Supreme Lord. And the Lord gives him the first set of instructions, which are all connected to the soul and the nature of the soul. So I was going to go through what Krishna, the Supreme Lord, told Arjun in this series of verses. There's about 10 verses, or no, probably about 15, 16 verses. So first thing he says, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So this is indicative that the soul is eternal. Then he says, the 13th verse, as the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. So this is a phenomenal picture here, which is a painting that has been done, which describes that verse, how the body is changing constantly from boyhood to youth to old age, but the soul remains the same throughout that journey in this one life. And then at the time of
Yeah, I've got the
at the time of when the soul leaves that body, that's called death. But the soul doesn't die. It continues to live in another body. And that will be explained a little later. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course. I like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, or Sion or Bharat, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. O best among men, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress, and is steady in both, is certainly eligible for liberation. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent there is no endurance, and of the existent there is no cessation. This seers have concluded by studying the nature of both. So of the non-existent, there's no endurance. That means the body will at some point turn into ashes. No endurance. It's temporary. It's not permanent. But the existent, there is no cessation. That refers to the Atma. Doesn't die, continues to live. Know that which pervades the entire body is indestructible. No one is able to destroy the imperishable soul. So this is a clear statement by Krishna. No one can destroy this soul. Only the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is subject to destruction. Therefore fight, O descendant of Bharat. He who thinks that the living entity is the slayer or that he is slain does not understand. One who is in knowledge knows that the self slays not, nor is slain. This is one of the most amazing verses. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death, nor having once been, does he ever cease to be. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, undying, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So we possess this body. We are in temporary charge of this body. But when the body is finished, we just move into another body. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, unborn, eternal, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? And this is the point about reincarnation. Text 22 describes this. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, similarly the soul accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. What sort of body will we get in our next life? It depends on our consciousness, on our karma, what we have done in our lives, and our desires. Three things that determine our next body. So just a quick example, if somebody just likes to sleep all the time, that's their karma, that's their consciousness, that's their desire, then the garment they get to put on next life will be that perhaps of a bear. They will be given a suitable body according to their actions, their consciousness and their wishes, they'll get a body of a bear. They can sleep for 6 months of a year, no problem. That's just one example. I won't go through the other examples because we want to go into the question and answers. The soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor can he be burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble. It can neither be burned nor dried. He is everlasting, all-pervading, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. Soul never changes, doesn't grow old. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, immutable, unchangeable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. If, however, you think that the soul is perpetually born and always dies, still you have no reason to lament, O mighty armed. For one who has taken his birth, death is certain. For one who is dead, birth is certain. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim stage, and unmanifest again when they are annihilated. So what is the need there? What need is there for lamentation? Now this is an interesting verse. It's one of the last verses now. Some look on the soul as amazing. Some describe him as amazing. And some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. So Krishna is describing the inconceivable nature of the soul. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body is eternal and can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any creature. That's it. That was the end of Lord Krishna's description in the Bhagavad Gita of this spirit soul. So the nature of the spirit soul is eternal, unchangeable, whereas the body is prone to change. So I wanted to ask, first of all, Edward, I think, because if you have questions, then we can go in the direction of your questions. Is that okay?
I think the timing is quite perfect.
Okay.
And I have a few questions for today's meeting, actually. We all understand or believe that there is what is known or called death, which is inevitable, whether we like it or not, one way or the other. By the way, I'm sitting in the sun under a tree.
You can see that.
And we are all envious of you.
Oh, really? This is one of my favorite places because I really love nature. So
That's good.
most of the times I prefer to sit under a tree and then enjoy the wonderful oxygen that the Lord has given to us free of charge. Anyway, back to my questions, Prabhu. Like I was saying, death is inevitable. But then there is this question that normally comes into mind. When I die, is it the end of man? Or is there anything at all? Because particularly in your religion, we are meant to believe that there is what is called reincarnation. So the belief is that when one dies, or what, if you like, when the soul leave this body, of course, the soul, the body, as we all know, I mean, it perishes forever. Then it becomes, at the end of the day, death, completely death. That is what humans, that is what we are. But what makes us a complete human is when the soul is present. So the question again is, after death, are we to believe that there is another life? And indeed, if there is another life, what sort of life should we be looking forward to? What should we be expecting based on, I mean, the life that we lived whilst we are alive now, currently? Probably, according to the Bible, we know that there's the Bible, according to the book of Hebrews chapter 9, verse 27, it says that it is appointed unto man to die once, and after death, there is judgment. So in our Christendom, the belief is that one will have to perish. But then, after we perish, there is judgment. So my question again is, I mean, in your religion, that you also believe in reincarnation, does it mean that when one dies, is it based on the life that you lived that you will be judged? And indeed, if you will be judged, then what sort of punishment will we be looking forward to? And then indeed, let's say, for instance, if your life, if you lived any life anyhow, how it pleases you, what sort of punishment will you be looking forward to? And then in any case, that punishment, is that punishment eternal? Or will you be punished for a period of time, and then probably after maybe probably, let's say, for instance, typical example is when one offense, there is the law courts, and there are sentences for every sort of offense that you might commit. Certain offense, they might say, okay, because your offense is very, moderate offense. So maybe, let's say, for instance, maybe you go to jail for maybe a year or two. And then after that, let's say, for instance, maybe after that, then they can say, okay, based on good judgment or based on good behavior, if you do not get yourself into trouble, then obviously this sentence will even be removed entirely from the law courts at the end of the day. So is it the same thing with life after death? That's my question.
Vijay Prabhu, you'd like to address?
Yes. And it's very good to be seeing you, Edward, because I know Sam so well.
Yeah.
Over the years, he's become my very good god brother. So nice.
Okay. Wonderful.
Brother as well. Your question is very nice, and your question is one that generally it gives a lot of people. I wouldn't put a percentage, but a very high percentage of people have this problem. Your question has got many aspects to it, and you've also given some answers to your own question, and I'll come back and I'll show that. But if I go back to where Nabi started with the wonderful text of Bhagavad Gita. And although there are many holy books, and I started from a Christian base, and I think you also coming from a Christian base. So there's nothing wrong with the Bible. There's nothing wrong with the Quran. There's nothing wrong with the Torah or any other holy book. They're there to give you a spiritual education and to give you the instruction of the Lord. But just if we compare that to, say, academic education, there are different levels of academic education. And I would be challenged to say, no, that level of academic education is no good. Close that school. One would never say that, whether it's primary, whether it's secondary education, college, and even university education, is that different rungs. I can take a law degree, and I'm very proud of it. But if I take the same law degree from Oxford or Eton or Princeton, everybody will say, yeah, it's a higher degree. But you see the point I'm making? So education is education. What you've got from the Bible isn't deficient, but it's not complete. When we say Vedic knowledge, it's original knowledge, and it is also perfect knowledge. The reason why it's perfect is because it doesn't have 4 defects. I may be a Einstein. I may be a whoever, how brilliant I am in whatever field. As a human being, I've got 4 defects, and they're common. Okay? And what are those 4 defects? I'm prone to be illusioned. Illusioned mean, you know, I'm not actually seeing the reality of what things are. Okay? That's the first mistake. The second mistake is that, the second fault, defect, is that I will make mistakes. Although I'm very clever, although I'm very careful, but I'm prone to make mistakes. I may not make many, but I will make mistakes. And whoever we are, and we can observe all these 4, you know, defects in human beings. So I can be illusioned. I see things, you know, I can't properly understand what I see. I make mistakes. And then the other propensity, the third one, is that I am inclined to cheat. I may not be an out-and-out criminal, but there's a tendency in human nature to cheat, to make things up. It doesn't mean that I want to defraud, but I will put something there that shouldn't be there. Huh? That 3 tendencies. And the one is that the fourth one, is that I have imperfect senses. So if my eyesight is imperfect, if my hearing is imperfect, if all my senses are imperfect, then I'm prone to actually, it's a defect. So because of these 4 defects, whatever human beings present, doesn't matter how lofty, doesn't matter how helpful and beneficial, you will find these 4 defects there. But Vedic knowledge is not like that. The reason why it doesn't have 4 defects is because Vedic knowledge, transcendental knowledge, is spoken by the Lord himself. He's above defect. He hasn't got any defects. So therefore, what he says is exactly as is. So therefore, on the battlefield, when Lord Krishna was speaking to his disciple and friend, Arjun, he recognizes that Arjun was a very powerful warrior and he had fantastic weapons. So he wasn't afraid of the fight. He had fought many, many times and was always victorious. But what happened to him, he became compassionate. He became full of compassion. And war means death. War means killing. So he knows that as soon as the arrow starts flying, there will be death and there will be destruction. And on the other side, he's seeing his teachers, he's seeing his brothers, he's seeing his nephews and all variety of relatives. He became full of compassion. When we are in those family and social ties, we become affectionate. Our feelings are evoked. So he was actually having that experience and therefore reluctant to do his duty to fight. So in order to correct him, the Lord had to give him the answer to the very question you're asking. The Lord starts to say to him, I need you to understand. He's laying a foundation. All through Bhagavad Gita, the Lord lays a very sound spiritual foundation for Arjun. And that foundation becomes a foundation for everyone else who follows in the footsteps of Arjun. If you want to have a sound understanding of who you are, what life is, and who God is, then Bhagavad Gita lays the foundation for you. All you have to do is take it and then build on it, and you will see. So he starts by telling Arjun all the things that Nabi has just said. I need you to understand there is a duality in this material world. And I need you to be very clear about this duality, Arjun. First thing is that what you are And all of those that you see here, we have always been. The reason why that soul and the spirit, so let me go back, I don't want to rush. The distinction that must be made, and all the acharyas, Srila Prabhupada did it for us, Lord Krishna did it for Arjuna, they must get the point that there's a distinction. Something is material on one side, something is spiritual on the other side. That distinction must be there. There must be a mental and emotional understanding and separation. There's a distinction. If I could briefly give you a distinction between what makes something different from something spiritual and something material. When I start with material, first of all things material have got 6 symptoms. The first symptom is that it has a beginning. So we can call it birth. Everything starts by taking birth. It starts as nothing and then it comes. So it comes into being. There is a point. There's a beginning, whether it's the big cosmos or it's just a little plant. It has a beginning. Then it grows and develops. It reaches maturity. It produces some byproducts, offsprings. It starts to dwindle and age, and then it dies, it disappears. Any and everything material will go through that cycle, whether it's a human being, it's an animal, it's a plant, and the vast cosmos itself. It will go through 6 cycles. That's the symptoms of something material. The symptom of something spiritual is very different. It always was. It always will be. There are no other symptoms. It always was. Spirituality is distinctly different from material things. So if you understand that you are the soul, then you've always been and you always will be. And Lord Krishna states that to Arjuna as the beginning foundation. He lays that foundation stone so that Arjuna need not worry about that bit of the friends and relatives who is material. Yes, they're standing before you in their particular body, in their particular relationships, but you need to know who they are, the reality of them. They're spiritual. Then he goes on to give the detail of how the soul goes through and transmigrates through the body. At this point, I want to stop and make a connection you made to Christianity, because sometimes it's just a little deeper analysis to get us to understand. I already have some of the knowledge, it just needs to be extended. Christianity, I was a Christian for a long time. And in Christianity, it does believe, it may not call the soul the same way that we distinctly call it in Hinduism and Vedic philosophy, but the concept of the soul is there. Because either you're going to go to heaven and you're going to go to hell, but you know at least there's 2 destinations. In Christianity, I learned there's 2 destinations. I can go to heaven and I can go to hell. And everybody wants to go to heaven and no one wants to go to hell. But at least there's a concept of I go on. So what goes on? Not this body is going into the grave. So that concept is there, but it's not so, there is no elaboration on it. So what's missing isn't the concept, Edward, you've got the concept. Now what's missing is the further education. And that is given in Bhagavad Gita. And then further given in the higher philosophy than Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam is given in very minute detail. But Bhagavad Gita also gives you a lot of detail because it tells you where the soul is located. It tells you the size of the soul. And it gives you all the information to know that the soul, because it's spiritual, is absolutely indestructible. Nothing can touch it because it's spiritual. I've already given you the 6 symptoms. The only quality of the soul is that it is there. It is above everything material. So it can't be killed, it can't be burnt, it can't be weathered, nothing can touch it because it's spiritual. Now, how does the soul manifest itself in the body? It manifests in the body through consciousness. And so many experiments have been done. You may have your own experience. I've got my own experience, but so much evidence is there. So many doctors, especially surgeons, their patients will tell them on the operating table, I was above everything. I was watching the whole operation. And I was watching you cut me here, and I was watching you cut me there, I'm under anesthetic, but I'm watching the whole thing. And I'm walking around, you know, not walking, but floating around, and I'm seeing everything that's happening. And then when I come out of anesthetic, I come back into this body. Now that is there, and so much documentation of that. It's not just a casual thing. It's so much cases, evidence. But I give you my own experience of this. Before I became a devotee, I wasn't reading this high Vedic philosophy at that time, but I was reading philosophy because when you're spiritually inclined, it's like you're hungry and you want something to eat and you're trying to satisfy yourself, but you can't find the right food. When you're spiritually hungry, it's the same thing. You're looking. So I was looking all the time, but I hadn't met Bhagavad Gita or any of the higher Vedic philosophy at that time. And I remember I was living in a place in the UK, outside of London, about 110, 20 miles out of London, called Northampton. And I remember we'd finished Sunday lunch. My children were very young at that time. And I remember I went into one of my daughter's bedroom, and I just laid on the bed to relax. I had a very nice lunch and I was feeling very comfortable, just stretching out and relax. You know, children's bedroom is always very peaceful. So I was laying out, relaxed. And as I was relaxing, I was doing some breathing exercises that I'd learned to actually take you into nice meditation. And as I was doing this breathing exercises, I was going into deeper, deeper meditation. And then I heard this piercing sound in my ears and I became frightened. I'd never gone so deep in meditation before. And I remember getting up out of the bed and walking down a flight of stairs and going into the living room and sitting down with my with the family. Children are playing on the floor. A lady was sitting there, but thing is, when I came into the door, no one moved. No one. I'm sitting there. I'm sweating a little bit, and no one is saying anything. Hello, Dad. How are you? Nothing like that. And in the next instant, I'm on the bed. Next instant, I'm on the bed, from the living room to the bed. So I knew what happened. I worked out what happened. Can you see what happened? Can you tell me what happened? Anybody? What experience did I have?
Out of body.
You had
Of body.
Is it
Your
afterlife?
body was on the bed and
Afterlife?
your soul just left.
Yeah, out of the body. This is what
Out
they
of the
call
body
out of the body experience. What I
experience of
what
the
I was
body.
describing about when you're under anesthetic and you actually can tell the doctor afterwards, tell the surgeon, I saw you do this and I saw you do that and I heard you say that to that nurse. It's an out of the body experience. And I had that out of the body experience. I couldn't put it into any context because, as I said, I wasn't reading Vedic literature at that time. But later on, when I started to read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and then to be told very distinctly, you're not this body. This body is a vehicle. This body is like we have so many coats and jackets and different, things that we wear. And sometimes we wear them out and we throw them away or we give them away. This human body is my vehicle, is my dress. But I, the person, the personality, I'm very distinct. And I had the personal experience. It's some years later that I was able to give it name and words like I'm doing now, but at least I had the experience. I knew I got up, I came out, and I moved away from it. So I know, I'm not pretending or guessing when I say I'm not this body. I've got the practical experience. But most of us have some level of experience. I'm not this body. Some of us have, most of us have some experience. And if you haven't got it, you will get it. That you're not this body. Huh? So in that way, the distinction must be there. I'm not the soul. This body rather, I'm spirit soul. Moving the conversation on to answer more of your questions. How does the soul move in the body? The first slide that Nabi showed actually did it very, very well. I think the sloka is Dihino asmin yataha dehi komaram yovanam jara tata dihantra praptir diras tatra namuyati. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body, as the embodied soul continually, this is a very nice slide. So you can see, as the soul in the body, it comes in, and Srimad Bhagavatam is so detailed, as I said to you, this detail that I have, and all the devotees who read Srimad Bhagavatam have, is not in Bhagavad Gita because it's a high level of study. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, it tells you how the soul enters into the body. It tells you. The soul enters into the body through it enters into the female body, to the mother's body. I say female because it's not just human. It enters through the male. It enters through the male's semen, and it enters into the female body, whatever species the female is. And it starts to develop. The soul enters like that, and it starts to develop the body. And it continues. And as the body develops, this picture is very nice if we have time to explain it. Because, it starts just by a little dot, and then it divides, and then keeps dividing until all the kind of shape of the body, human or animal, is actually manifested. Here we see the human bodies develop. Then it comes out after about 9 months. And how it comes out, how it's pushed out, all of that is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. But the description here is that from a little baby that can't move, then gradually, then it's toddler, then gradually, then it turns to youth, and then it turns to mature, and then it turns to, and gradually, the body is changing all the time, but the soul is constant. We all have experience of this. If I take any of us and take our photographs, and I see, these days, you won't have photographs of me. Old people like me don't have photographs of when they were 3 and 4 and 2 years old. But these days, most people, parents have got photographs of their children right throughout their whole life. So if you take an adult now, in his 20s or 30s or 40s, and you go back and you look at his photograph, he or she are 2 or 3 years old, it's their birthday party. But when you look at their 30, 40-year-old body, they don't look like their 3-year-old. You can't recognize them. They have to, the parents or that person have to say, no, that's me. And they can remember, but they look very different. The body is completely different. A 3-year-old body to a 30-year-old body is extremely different. But that person knows, we know, I am the same person. So in the same way that I'm there and my body has changed, it's the same logic. So that when this body reaches its conclusion, my consciousness will be transferred. And how the consciousness is transferred, how the soul is transferred, that also is explained in great detail in Srimad Bhagavatam. Great detail is there. If I come on to the last part of your question, then where, and Nabi touched on it, where does the soul go? Nabi said, because it's there in Srimad Bhagavatam, according to your deeds, according to your consciousness, but it's very technical, especially according to your mentality and your desires. But your frame of mind is very, very critical, very, very critical. At that time of death, when you're about to leave, not only the deeds that you've done, if you've only been a selfish, a wicked, a vicious person, a mean person, you've done harm to everybody, you've not fulfilled any responsibilities, then that is there. But if you've also been very negligent and very wicked, that is also there. All that credit is there, which is all negative. If you've been a very pious person, you've been helpful, you've been dutiful, you've been religious, all that credit is there. But whilst that credit is there, the crucial thing is what is your mentality and what is your desire at the time of dying. That is why you'll find in every single culture, there is a general principle. When somebody's about to die, you make them peaceful. You make them comfortable. You try and give them as much peace. You know, whatever tradition, religious traditions you have, you try to actually share that with them at that time. And if there's no religion, at least you give them a peaceful moment, a peaceful time. It's in every tradition, it's there. But we know it in a more technical way, because we know that it determines, you know, it's going to be one of the determining factor. Then we actively draw the mind, and we actually actively try to focus the mind on spirituality, because then it will actually have a result. It will also prompt you towards a better destination. It's a combination of things. But where you go, there are 8,400,000 different species of life, of which human beings is simply 400,000 types of human beings. And when I'm speaking, I'm not just speaking here on Earth, throughout all the universes. And all the universes, all the planets are inhabited. Just because our scientists don't know. Shastra tells us Vedic knowledge is perfect. It's already calculated long before they were able to calculate the distance of the moon and the sun. It was there in Vedic literature. All they can do is prove it. They can simply agree what is already written there. So what body we go to, you know, we will take one of the bodies according to our actions or karma or desires. As Navi, this picture nicely says, according to that, it's all calculated. And then you are told, and I like the point you said about being judged. It is like that. Some people make the mistake of thinking reincarnation, yes, next time I want to be a king. I want to be a film star. I want to be a top sports person. I want to be the next Bill Gates. You don't decide. When you go to court and you're going to be judged, you don't tell the judge what sentence he should give you, do you? You wait to hear the sentence. So in a similar way, when the soul is ready to leave and is left, that judgment is made. Srila Prabhupada calls it higher authorities. We know the detail of who makes the authorities, but for general principle, Srila Prabhupada says higher authorities will make the decision about what body you will go to. And then you are told, you are directed. This is how the judge will say to you, yes, you will do that. You go there. Either you get 6 months, you get 9 months, or you may go to a high security prison, you get life there. According to your crimes, according to your karma, according to your mentality, according to your desires. But you are directed, you're sent. You go there. And the bit that I like about reincarnation is that when you are being told, you'll say, yeah, no, you go there in that mother's womb. That mother could be whatever species according to the mentality and your deeds. So you're not guaranteed to get a human body. This is a very important point that Srila Prabhupada was telling us all the time. And I try to say to devotees so that they grasp it and get hold of it. The human birth is a great privilege. It's a very great juncture in evolution. Because from this human birth, you can actually, you get a developed body, developed brain, developed consciousness. This body is very utilitarian. You're not as strong as an elephant, but an elephant can't actually bring a flower and bow down and put it before the Lord. An elephant can't actually read Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. It can't do that, but it's so strong and powerful. But a human being can do those things. So this human body is not a simple thing. It's a very important thing to get. When we get to this stage, we should make the very best use of it. And Nabi said some very nice words at the beginning of his class. He says, we are meant to give service to the Lord. One of the principles in every religion is that you have to bow down, whether you physically do it, we physically do it, and some religions physically bow down, but you have to bow your head and acknowledge God is greater than me. I am a servant. To whatever degree you're using that word servant, for us, we take it literally because it is literal. But you have to, every religion requires you, for you to practice, for you to make any progress, you have to bow down. So human life is meant for this. Human life is a great privilege. But it's not a privilege. Our Guru Maharaj used to say, human life is meant for self-realization, not sense gratification. But those who are ignorant, and you can say it's 99% of the world population, because that is what is being said by government, that is what is being said by all the advertisers and all the companies. Live for yourself, your car, your house, your clothes, your this or that. No one is talking about self-realization. Everybody's talking about sense gratification. Now, it's not that you're not supposed to live comfortable. It's not that you're not supposed to drive a nice car. It's not that you're not supposed to actually have nice things. You are. But you need to also remember, they are temporary. They will be finished. But your soul will go on. And your deeds will be part of the judgment about where you go next. But the main thing is that, what is the program? Why did I come here? What am I supposed to be doing here? When you get hold of this, it answers so many questions. I was born in Jamaica, but I am a Hindu. Now then, when I was younger, I was very interested in Black Power. And at that time, Russia was a different Russia. And so many students from Africa used to go to Russia, and because the Russian universities were open to them. I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember. But you imagine you're born in Africa, but you're going to study in Russia. Who's going to say to you, don't go to Russia? Who's going to call you, say anything about it? You're going for an education. So wherever you're born, whatever body you're in, you must understand this is an education. If you're qualified to get it, you should go and get it. Never mind what others say. They don't understand. Not everybody can go to university and get a degree. It's according to ability. So if you're able to understand this, you should understand this is a mercy of the Lord. That you can understand Bhagavad Gita, you could understand Srimad Bhagavatam. Cultural boundaries should not enter into it. Because I'll tell you now for sure, you will not stop, whatever your nationality, you will not stop being that person. Those cultural heritage will still be there. I'm still Jamaican. I still understand Jamaican culture. I can still somewhat speak Jamaican patois. I still like Jamaican food. But I'm a devotee because it's a higher part of me. It's a higher part of me. And that part should be developed. That part should be nurtured because that's why I've come here. And that's why that's taking advantage of this human body. There's a lot more to be said, Edward, but I'm going to stop here. And then you can maybe reframe the question or go to a specific part of it, or others also can say.
Well, it's quite satisfactory. I'm so grateful. I have one very final question, and my final question is rather a very childish question.
That's okay.
Why is it that humans are so afraid of death?
Good.
And indeed, is there a way that we can take that fear out of us? That's my final question.
Okay. There is only, the real fear is ignorance. The real fear is because of ignorance. When you don't know who you are, when you don't know the distinction that I've said so far, Nabi has said, between the body and the soul, when you don't have that knowledge, of course, then you're thinking you're the body. And most people have got such an affinity and an identification with the body that they can't think of anything else. So what they know is going to finish. And not only that, there's the attachment. When my body is finished, it means my relationship with my wife is finished. My relationship with my son is finished. My relationship with my friends is finished. My relationship with my country is finished. My relationship with everything is finished because they're so related to the body. When you have got the knowledge to understand that I've got these relationships, but they're temporary because my soul is permanent and their soul is permanent. So somehow we're in this relationship now. I'm in this country, I'm in this family, I'm in this society, I'm in this whatever. These are all temporary relationships because I was somewhere before and I'm going to go somewhere again. But my soul is going to go. So ignorance is one of the big things. Ignorance is, I'd say, the main reason for fear. And then also, it comes down to ignorance, because the only reason why you can start being afraid is when you know also, so ignorance of what the process is, but also you don't have, when we don't have a very strong, fixed up relationship with the Lord to know, and I mean an experienced relationship where he actually intervenes in your life, so that you know he's not just something that people talk about. I've proven him, he's real. When you don't have that real relationship, and also with the ignorance, and you're out of touch with the reality that God is real and he knows me, because what makes it real for us is when we have an experience and then we know, no, he knows me. There's billions and trillions of people, but he knows me. When we have that, it changes everything for us. We stop being so afraid because we know there's a connection. That connection must be made with God. And then the knowledge of how the process works. If we know that, we become less afraid. Generally, people who have a very steeped in their faith and they have that relationship with God and they have that knowledge about what happens after they quit this body, they tend to be less afraid. But the majority of people, take it from me, they're simply on bodily consciousness. Therefore, that creates fear because they think they're going to go into darkness. Everything is going to finish. When they finish, everything finishes. But we know also, when I said about ignorance, is that we, in our Vedic philosophy, it tells you, I'm able to say to you, 8,400,000 species of life. But I haven't told you about the different places that you can be transferred to. You can be transferred to what in Christianity they call heaven. Heaven is not the spiritual world. Heaven is just a higher realm of existence. Planets are there. The moon planet, the sun planet. There's so many planets up there. They're far superior. You don't get this kind of body. You get a far superior body. The atmosphere, everything is far superior to here. So that knowledge needs to be gained. And then when you have that knowledge, then you stop being so fearful because you know these are possibilities. These are possibilities. But if nothing else in this conversation, be aware that there is something called karma, action and reaction. And it's a fixed equation. And everybody can prove this for themselves. It's not just a religious philosophy, that some people may believe in, some people don't believe in. Whatever name you call it, action and reaction, what you sow, you reap. Whatever you want to call it, it is there as a spiritual reality. Everyone who understands this and starts to live up to this, you actually making your future secure.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, I've got a question as well.
Yeah.
In Christianity, it says that no one cometh to the Father but by me.
Yes.
Because of this quotation, every Christian, no matter what you say to them, will never accept any other way, any other religion, call it that way,
yeah,
unless, you go through Lord Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What would you say to a person like that, who only believe you can only reach God just through Lord Jesus Christ?
I know, thank you, Sam. I know many, especially Pentecostals, because there's many Christian denominations and they have different views. But the ones who are very, very steeped in their views are the Pentecostals. When you call them born-again Christians, they have a particular view. And that view, it's okay, but it's very narrow. I've talked about it, and I would ask you to, I invite you to see that this, what we call religion, call it religion, but see it as an education. And if your education is at a certain level, then your education can actually be expanded. And there's others who are less educated than you. So education changes your perception and understanding of things. And also, folks have got vested interests. You know, the Bible has been rewritten so many times. For instance, and I'm not trying to be controversial, because you can go and look this up for yourself. In the Bible, there is a position, a passage where Jesus is there. He goes where they're taking the local census and they're finding out all the people have to come and report in, so they know what the population is and that. So he goes with his parents. He's about 14 years old. And he goes and the parents, you know, register everything, and they start on the journey back. And on the way back, they realize at some part in the journey, they realize Jesus is missing. So they go back, you know, they can't find him. They realize that he must still be in the town, you know. So they go back and they find him. And what's he doing? He's 14 years old, but he's preaching. And then in the Bible, it says, he almost chastises his parents because they're angry and they're upset and they're afraid. So they're saying, where are you? And he's saying, no, I'm here doing my father's business. That's not the point I want to make. The point I want to make is, if you read the Bible carefully, you will not hear another word about Jesus until he's about 32, 34 years old. So where did he go? Where did he do his education? Those years are missing. Do you know that Jesus went to India? Do you know that he spent 14 years in India? Do you know that he went all over and was educated there? Do you know that? That Bible won't tell you that. But he was educated there. And more than that, when he came back, what did he take? He was called master. And what did he have? Disciples, which is the Indian tradition. You become a spiritual master, qualified, you take disciples. And Jesus had disciples. So it's the knowledge that's missing. They see that they don't understand that the same principle. I'll go back a little bit because I don't want to miss this point. I want this point to be clearly made. There is a program. The program is to help the living entities, us who are here, to actually realize that we need to go back home. I think the verse is Nabi Yada Yada Hidarmasya. Yada Yada Hidarmasya. Glani Bhavati Bharata. Whenever there's a decline of religious practices, if the Lord comes or he sends his representative, it happens all the time and it will continue to happen until this age closes. And I'm happy that, you know, because with Christians, little bit of knowledge, you know, as I said, the education is not full. Christians will know these are the last days, but they won't, the scriptures doesn't tell you the detail, but our scriptures tell you the detail. This last age started, you know, 5,000 years ago. It's going to run for 432,000 years. And it's going to get progressively worse. If you think things are bad now, no, you have no idea how bad they're going to be. And this yuga, there are 4 yugas, 4 universal ages. Just how we have spring, summer, winter, autumn. You know, we have 4 universal cycles. They're called yugas. And this is the last one. The last days is called Kali Yuga. And it's going to get very, very bad. But the point is that all the details are given. And the details is what's missing. So in each yuga, according to what humanity needs to grab the program and to grasp the program, that human life is not meant for just sense gratification. Look up and try to reach up and go back. So according to where that civilization is, the Lord will come and he will either come himself or send his representative. And you will see. So the representative may come in the form of, you know, Islam. The representative may come in the form of Sikhism. It may come in the form of, as in with Jesus, Christianity. It may come in the form of Buddhism. This is the Lord giving the road, giving an opportunity for those people at that time, according to their capacity to understand. He will come and establish a teaching, and every teaching says the same thing. Look up, improve yourself, and try and go home. But you have to have the deeper understanding. So when Christians say that, you must understand it's a narrowing down. It's an exclusivity that they want to put around a universal tradition. Jesus is representing, if it was inclusive, then it would only apply to a certain people in a certain region. But Christian, you can become Christian in whatever nation that you take up the teaching. That tells you it's all across the board. It's for everybody. So Jesus, they don't understand that Jesus, the teacher, represents a universal principle. It's the teaching. It's not Christianity per se, because the spiritual master is always plural. So Jesus as the spiritual master is not singular, it's plural. Anybody who acts in the same way, people get the same result. Can you see it? Those who took up Islam, because they followed the teaching of Muhammad, then they became enlightened. Everyone who followed the teaching of Lord Buddha became enlightened. Everyone who followed the teaching, of Guru Nanak in Sikhism became enlightened. The teachers are always, if you line the teachers up of these religions, they look almost alike because they're saying the same thing, because their mission is one. But if I want to put some exclusivity around, I'm the only way, that is crazy. Can you imagine a university saying, only if you take your degree from me will you be qualified? Does it make sense? It doesn't make any sense. But there is a thing about prestige. There's a thing about exclusivity. It doesn't apply to spiritual life. It is a myth. And people are getting satisfaction from it. But from a deeper spiritual point of view, no. There's no such reality. Jesus would never say that. Those who are able to take and get advancement through that, you should take it, but be faithful to it. But it's not the only way. Because time and circumstances, the Lord will give, his teachings and give direction, to his servants who come to lift up humanity. Jesus isn't the only person who has come to lift humanity, and others will come as well at different times. So I'm giving you the answer that it's just a myth that they've got, and it makes them feel precious and make the religion feel precious, but it's not a spiritual reality. It's not a spiritual reality. And by any calculation of logic, you can see it's not a spiritual reality. Spirituality doesn't go like that. There's no such exclusivity like that. Only through this way, only through that way. No, that's a mythology.
Okay, Prabhu, I'm conscious of time.
Okay.
There's one question as well that I want to ask.
Yes.
Why is it that you, the Hare Krishnas, you are so austere? You put so much pain within yourself. Why do you do that? Because that's one thing that my family, they see me like very, very austere, a lot of so-called enjoyment. I don't get involved, so they wonder, why is it so? Why is it like that? Why do you do it?
Well, simple answer is that it's a qualified position. If you look at a top sports personality, doesn't matter what the sports is, could be boxing, could be athletics, they have a different regime. They're getting up, the boxers, they're getting up 3 o'clock in the morning and going for their first run. People are sleeping and they're getting up and doing that, because to perform at that level and to achieve and maintain that level of success, that regime is required. When you become a devotee, when you've advanced to that level where you're as anyone who takes to Krishna consciousness and you're involved in Vedic philosophy and this way, is to be understood, is to be given. Srila Prabhupada says it over and over again. You have bypassed all other processes. You're now in the main the main activity for leaving here. This is the main activity. So a devotee is a very advanced personality spiritually, very, very advanced. So what they're actually seeing is the activity of an advanced devotee. And for the devotee, he doesn't think he's doing anything extraordinary because he accepts that this discipline is what I need to do. Like the athlete, he knows I need to go and run. I need to do this training. Like some other person running their own company, there's some top executive, they're doing the activity, their disciplines becomes torture for others, but they know that is what I need to do to perform at this level, and they take it as nothing. They accept what seems like such frustrations for others. They accept it because at that level, that's what's required. So at this level, for a devotee, it may look like an austerity what we do, but it's because of realization and advancement. Give you an example. The devotee will abstain from 4 things. And for the devotee, after a while, they don't become a problem anymore. He will not take meat, fish, or eggs, including onion and garlic. He will not take any intoxication, and he will not have any illicit sex. Not just 4 simple things, but these 4 things are practically impossible for the average person to do. This is proof of the advancement of the devotee. No, I won't take any alcohol, no intoxicants. I can come to your party, I can come to the family gathering, but I'll take a soft drink. No, I can come there, I can eat. Of course I can eat, I've got mouth, but I won't eat any dead bodies. I won't eat any living entity. No living entity should be killed for my appetite. No, it's very, very nice. Okay, yes, entertainment is this, entertainment is that, but I don't want any entertainment that either involves me by looking or by actually activity in anything outside of my marital relationship. I will not do it. So when they're criticizing because they think you're being extreme. But for the devotee, because the devotee is at an advanced level of understanding and also worship, is not extreme. Actually, the devotee knows within himself he has to do more. And is aspiring always to do more. Because when you are actually really practicing like that at a very advanced level, the only thing you want is Krishna. You don't want anything else other than to be in touch with Krishna. Look at the lives of any advanced devotee. It's only Krishna. It's Krishna, 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 100%. So that criticism, you have to bear it because they're not at the same level to understand it. And what you have to do, you have to be tolerant with them as well. But whilst you're being tolerant, you do not actually give grounds and give up any of your practices. And I say that to all the grihastas I preach to, especially if they're not from Indian culture. You can mix with your family members, you can actually be very kind to them, but by no means, under no circumstances, allow anyone in any way to make you step away from the principles that you're practicing, because you're at too much of an advanced level for them. They can't understand it. It's simply ignorance on their part. Does that help, Sam?
Absolutely. I understand all of this anyway, but
Good.
I'm just asking on their behalf.
I know that. I understand that.
I think my older brother just joined.
Okay.
Maybe he might have some questions as well.
If he has and the time is there for Nabi, I'm happy to answer.
We've got at least 10 minutes.
Okay.
Because I've got a children's thing which I need to log on to at about 20 to 6.
Okay.
So we've got good 10, 15 minutes. Only thing I wanted to say to Sam was, you've obviously not told your family of all the dancing parties. You haven't told them the feast you have. You know, well, you've been hiding all the nectar from them.
Absolutely, you're right. You know, normally they only see the austere part of our religion, What they don't see is the nectarian side of it, you know. Sometimes I will show them pictures of us giving Lord Krishna a bed to sleep on, a flower, and everything, you know, all the good devotional processes that we do. And they wonder, why do you do this? You know, you're only worshiping an idol. It's only a doll. You know, you should not be doing this so often. You know,
that is a whole other series of questions. Because and we can take that sometime. I can't tackle that now because that needs some explanation. But actually, we're not worshiping dolls. We're not worshiping idols. We're not engaged in that. We're engaged in something much, much higher. But I don't know if your brother is on the call, Sam, but if he is, then if he has a question, we'll take that.
Is it to George?
Hey, Krishna?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I just joined. Really, I just came out from a place from my family. So
welcome.
I haven't really realized what you're talking about as of now.
Okay, well, what we're saying, we're giving you the opportunity. We were just speaking to Edward. Edward had lots of questions. So we're just giving you the opportunity. If you have any questions as well about spiritual life, then we can take those questions. And the questions may be about what Sam just said. He's your brother. He's involved in Krishna consciousness. If there's anything about, you know, that you thinking, well, okay, your brother, you know him, you love him, but, you know, is he doing the right thing? If there's anything relating to that as well, if you don't have your own questions, there may be questions relating to him. And then I can also answer those questions. I'll try anyway.
Okay, I haven't prepared myself so much as of now, but what I can say is that for me, I haven't been involved in so much of worshiping and religion. As such, I don't follow too much of such things.
Okay.
If I can say that.
Okay.
I'm a Christian, but I don't practice Christianity.
Okay.
And then I'm wondering, Hare Krishna, what it is about.
Okay.
I know he's been practicing it for some time.
Okay.
And you know, I just want to be a little bit part of it, just to know something. But it's not because I want to get myself involved.
Okay. Well,
what I was thinking, Ananta Vijay Prabhu,
yes,
if it's appropriate, because that question is quite needs a little bit of detail, right?
Yes.
I was thinking if we reconvene in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. Yes. That'd be good. That'd be good.
And
that'd be good.
George Edwards can join at that time.
Yes.
Because this, I think, has been very useful for all the devotees. And everybody's pretty much stayed online, which indicates that the interaction between yourself and Sam and Edward has been really very, very good. And I've really enjoyed the question answer session as well.
That's a good suggestion, Navi. But then maybe what we could do, I agree, I take it, I wait for the date. So maybe if there's questions from anyone else on the call, because it's not just between us and Edward, if there's any questions from anyone else on the call, we can take those quickly.
Yeah, George, is that okay? Can we tackle that question in 2 weeks' time? Would that be okay for you?
That'd be okay with me in a way.
And Sam, is that okay with you?
Yes, indeed, absolutely, Prabhu. It will be. I would love that. I would really love that.
Okay.
But I know it's really difficult to get my brothers to listen to us. It's very, very hard for me. Yesterday, I wrote a very long letter to them, emphasizing the reason why I feel, it's a must that at least they listen to us. If I like them so much, as I always say, I like you, the only legacy I can leave for them is actually Krishna consciousness. I can give them anything, any material stuff. Even if they want my house, I will give it to them. But I know it's nothing, it's negligible as compared to giving them Krishna consciousness, and I got very, very sad because the knowledge that I have, I can't give it to anyone. No one wants to really listen to me. And, you feel, oh God, you love your family, you know where they're going, and then you know what will happen to them in their next life. You don't want them to go through all of that. You really want to help them out, but they really don't want to know.
I think sometimes, Sam, family is perhaps sometimes too close. And I think, like Ananta Vijay, the way he speaks, the experience he's got is so heavy, so good, that perhaps through him, you will be able to convey the message much more clearly. Because family is...
I'll say with you, Sam, and if there's anybody else, because what you're experiencing, Sam, is not just for you. I experienced it, and many of us, even if you've got Bharatiya body, you can still experience that. I've got enough preaching with experience with the Indian community to know that that problem is not just because we are outside of Indian culture. That problem is also for people in the Indian culture. So preaching to your family is a different approach. Preaching to work colleagues is a different approach. Preaching to your social friends is a different approach. It's not like just preaching, to somebody who comes to the temple. It's very different with family members, with your social friends, with your lifetime friends. It's a different approach. It's a very measured approach. And we can talk about that next time, Nabi, as well. And I can give you my experience of how you have to tackle those things. Especially the most delicate one is family members. And within family members, parents and grandparents and uncles and aunties. It's very difficult because they've got authority over you. It's very difficult to preach to them, but there is a way.
So yeah, let's take that on next week. And George, if it's possible, we start at UK time, 4 o'clock. So if you come at around that time, Ananta Vijay can address your question first.
Yes.
And then we can do more, more question and answers.
Yes.
So
okay, I'll be ready. That is 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock in Denmark.
Yes, that sounds about right. Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'll try my best to join you.
Good.
But today I was having some errands that I should attend to. That's why.
Sure, no worries, no worries. Thank you.
No problem.
Are there any quick questions from anybody else? Otherwise, we can just finish off with Nishinga prayers.
Not from me anyway.
Yours we're going to handle next time.
Okay.
Okay, let's sing to Nishinga. And Sam, would you like to lead the way?
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Pralada Lada Daine.
Pralada Lada Daine.
Hiranyakashipu Vaksha.
Hiranyakashipu Vaksha.
Silatanka Nakalaye.
Shilatanka Nakalaye.
Ito Nishingo Parato Nazrimha.
Ito Nasingho Parato Nasingho.
Yato Yato Yamitato Nazrimha.
Yato Yato Yamitato Nasingha.
Baye Nazrimho Hridaye Nazrimho.
Vahe Nasingho Hridaye Nasingho.
Narasingha Madim Sharanam Praprade.
Narasingha Madim Saranam Prapade.
Avakara Kamala Varena Kam Abuta Stringam Dalita Hiranyakashifu Tano Bringam Keshava Deta Narahare Rupa Jaj Jagadeshare